Okay. So first off, the one thing that I want to make sure everyone knows now, if you are a current or past client of mine, this training that I have coming up will be potentially review for you and all of that. But I definitely love seeing our past clients come on to our trainings. And I know a lot of you are here today. Always welcome. But this is a new training that I am going to be covering all about your website and making sure that your website is as good as it can be to be booking calls. So if you are having the issue right now where people are finding your website, but they are not booking calls, you are actually doing some marketing, you're trying to get yourself out there, you're sharing your site, but it's like crickets, there's just no activity coming in, then there's a chance, it's probably likely that there are some conversion problems on your website, that people that are coming to your site are just not converting. And so I have this new training, the 3 website upgrades that fill your calendar without more marketing. I'm showing you how to turn your site from that dead end where interest goes to die a little bit into something that is actually generating consistent business for you, consistent interest, getting more calls on your calendar. Those people that book calls, discovery calls are more engaged, more excited because your site has already gotten them excited because of the words that you have on it and the content that you have on it. So I'll be talking through what you really need to be having on your site in order for it to be working better for you. So this is a free training. It's coming up in March, which I cannot believe that we are moving into March already, but it's only in a few weeks, March 3rd and 4th. You can pick the day and time that works for you. You can go to whitneybateson.com/upgrade to sign up for that right now. And we'll be doing some live prep work. Hopefully we can get our Facebook streaming situation going by then, because we do want to be doing it in our Facebook group to have some fun interaction in there too. So that will be the first time that we're doing some live prep work before my training. Register soon so that you can get the warnings and reminders and all of that good stuff of what's coming up, and get it on your calendar early, because I know the year is flying by. We want to get stuff on the calendar. Okay, to kick things off, I just want to go over the agenda really quick. We still have people coming in, so I think this is great for me to just go through some foundational stuff about marketing as we then get into everyone's questions. So if you are coming in right now, welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, where you're calling in from, who you are, and we are going to be jumping right into this. So the first thing that I want to be going over is just making sure that we are keeping things simple when it comes to our marketing, because I think for many of us, we see so many different pieces of advice and people telling us to do different things, and it can feel super overwhelming and very, very scattered. And really what needs to happen here is that you don't need to be having your marketing just falling apart and feeling like you need to be working harder and harder. That's usually just going to lead to burnout and even more complexity and confusion, and feeling like you're running around with your head cut off. That's how I sometimes feel if I just let my marketing efforts get away from me. I always try and say, okay, what's the end goal here? What are we working towards? What are the things that are going to make the most impact? So if you are feeling overwhelmed when it comes to marketing right now and getting your business out there this spring, then there may be a few things going on. You may be juggling too many strategies all at once. You may be having 5 different things that you've maybe heard people talking about, learned about recently. You want to be implementing them, which is great, but you're trying to do them all at once. Or you're not really sure what is moving the needle. And that can also be pretty frustrating if you're not also then seeing where the fruits of your labor are actually paying off. And it can be challenging to, I remember a conversation I had with someone, a colleague, and she had done a launch, like a beta launch of a program. And she was like, yeah, it didn't hit my goals. And so I ended up not moving forward with it. And then she realized when she actually looked at the numbers that it had actually converted pretty well. It was just that maybe she didn't have a lot of traffic coming into it, but the traffic that did came in, converted really well. And so sometimes when we're juggling too many things, we start missing those signals that are telling us that what we are doing is actually working. And then we can double down on those things versus spreading ourselves super, super thin. So it can feel too like Maybe prioritizing is just a lot of guesswork because you have no idea what is working, what's not, what is a priority, what's not. And then your energy is just going in so many different directions. So the real question that I always ask myself is, what is my marketing supposed to be doing? What is the goal that I am trying to have people achieve ultimately through all of the stuff that I'm putting out there, all the talks, all of the networking, all of the collaborations? What am I driving towards? And for most of you, most of us, it is to get the right people to book a call with us, because it's whatever that first point in your sales process is. Now, if you have a few different offerings, a few different things that you are asking people to sign up for or move forward with you, then you can have a few different pieces that people are moving towards. But ultimately, we want to be asking, like, where's that end of the road where people stop being just an interested member of your audience and start becoming a potential customer that has now raised their hand and said, I want to talk to you. I'm interested in working with you. And so this can be a really nice grounding thing to just keep in mind. Put it on a Post-it, put it a note on your desktop, whatever it is, to just make sure that you always are keeping that front of mind, because everything that we talk about today then is going to really run through that filter of, is this activity ultimately driving people towards this end goal of our marketing? And typically, and if you've been listening to the podcast, and I'll be talking about the podcast series I just wrapped up last week that I definitely recommend you check out if you haven't already, is talking about these different lanes or areas of your marketing that you can be breaking down all of your work into. So your website is the foundation of all of it. There are some questions about website that we'll be talking about today as well. That really needs to be working correctly. And that's why that training that I'm giving later in March or early March in a couple of weeks is really where we'll be talking more about making sure that your website, that final conversion point, because people come to your website to book that call, that final point in the road is on your website. So we do want your website to be working really well for you. But then we need to be getting traffic to your website. And so there are a few different ways that we can be doing that. I break it down into these 4 main areas of marketing and business building. Some of it doesn't always feel like marketing, but it's really just around, how are you building more audience, more visibility, attracting more people to your business and what you do. So the first one is content creation. So this is putting out content. On the podcast, I talked through repurposing. So I would really highly recommend focusing on one long form piece of content, a blog post, a podcast episode, a YouTube video, if you like doing YouTube, and then repurpose all of your other content from there. And this is where getting more search engine optimization, starting to found in AI responses and generative engines as well. That's where putting out content is really going to be helping with that search visibility. And this is also what's building authority and helping people move from this, okay, I have a problem, I'm not sure what I want to do about it, who I want to work with, to then seeing you as that choice because they've read some of your content or listened to some of your podcasts, and they're now buying into your expertise, your personality, your approach to the work, and they're connecting with you. So the content creation kind of is a double-edged thing where we both want it to be helping us get seen, but it also is doing a lot to actually get the people who are strangers to us to start trusting us, liking us, knowing us, all of that. And then we want email marketing. If you have been on my email list or listened to the podcast for a while, email marketing is, in my opinion, the non-negotiable for every business owner in terms of building your audience so that you can have that consistent growing base of future customers that you can be, again, sending those blog posts to, sending that content to, and then also occasionally reminding them, hey, here are the ways that you can work with me. Maybe you want to do a little promotion around Valentine's Day and you want to send out something. Putting it to your email list is going to be so much more effective than just putting a post on social media, because You've heard me talk about it, maybe, or maybe you haven't, but posting on social media, the reach for just organic content, so not paid ads and boosted posts, it's just very small and it just goes away very quickly. Whereas email is that reliable place where people do take action. You can format your emails the way you want. You have all these links. People can then take action right from there, whereas social media is just very crowded. So email marketing, definitely a marketing lane that we want to have in our business. And then visibility. So this can be speaking, events, appearing in communities. So this is really getting in front of other people's audiences where your ideal clients are already hanging out, and then actually drawing those people into your audience, getting them on your email list, directing them to your website so that they then become part of your audience as well. And then finally, referrals. This is about building relationships with complementary providers who can then send you warmer people, because that trust, someone, you think about it, if a friend recommends a plumber to you, you are already taking the fact that that has been recommended by someone you trust. That trust gets extended. It gets passed through. So you now trust that that plumber is probably going to solve your problem, versus you went to, back in the day, the yellow pages and just found a random plumber in the yellow pages. You don't know anything about them. No one's recommended them. It's a real risk on your part. And so you're a cold lead to that plumber, versus when you've been referred by your friend, you're a warm lead. And so we want to do the same thing in our own businesses. So working with doctors, with gyms, with other care facilities, with therapists. If you are doing eating disorder work and maybe there are just complementary service providers in that area that you can really be sharing referrals with. So those are those 4 areas. And what I would be suggesting is to be looking right now at what are some of those things that are showing signs of working, even if it's a very small sign. Then what is draining you right now that is not gaining traction? And I think we have to be a little careful here. There's a difference between dropping something because we're just not good enough at it yet. I know for myself, I just want to be immediately amazing at everything I do. And so it can be draining, but then there's certain things where this is just a lot of work. I don't know that this is really going to pay off. Maybe there's some other things that would be a better use of my time. So there's a difference between things that are just uncomfortable and unfamiliar that you need to practice and get better at, and then things that you're trying to do that actually it turns out, yeah, there's no traction happening. There's other things I could do that I actually want to do. And then just looking at, what feels doable, what feels aligned right now in this season of your life, of your business that you want to be focusing on, and then choose 2 to 3 areas. So when I talked about those 4 areas on the prior slide, are you doing something in each of those areas? Are you maybe you're focusing all of your time right now in that visibility bucket of social media, and you're just trying to content and visibility is a mix there, but where you're putting a lot into the content, you're just putting out a lot of social media posts, spending all of your time doing that, but you're not sending emails to your email list. You're not networking with referral partners, where those areas could be a lot more fruitful in terms of getting more people onto your calendar and booking calls than the content. It doesn't mean that you should stop doing things, but where we're spending our time is really important. And so what I would suggest for the next 90 days, maybe pick 2 or 3 areas through this filter here and say, those are the things that I'm going to work on and focus on, and then let the other stuff just lie for a little bit. Okay. We still have a lot of people coming in and out, but I'm just so glad to see so many of you here. And so this is the podcast series that I was talking about. So episode 100 was actually our first day of the 3-part series. So go to The Growth Show. You can go to growthshowpodcast.com or just search for The Growth Show wherever you get your podcasts. And episode 100 is that first episode of that 3-part series if you want to dive into the marketing stuff a little bit more. Okay, so let's get into the coaching now. So we had some really great submissions come through as everyone was registering for this. So we pulled this a couple hours ago. So if you just registered, obviously I want to answer your questions and all of that, but you might not see all of your stuff up here. But we had the question, what's one thing that you're excited to improve or get clear on in your business this year? And we had people talking about really clarity in systems. So they just want to get started. They want to get clear on their offers and grow their business. They want to improve the lead flow on their website and get more people booking calls. They want to get clear on their processes and actually execute more, which I can totally relate to. Email marketing, improving B2B outreach. Love that. And then also visibility and growth. So folks are working on blogging that they want to improve this year, growing their business consistently while still having a full-time job and increasing overall income. Can totally relate to that. I started my business when I had a full-time job, and it's not easy. And we had a question about that. So I do want to talk through that a little bit more. Getting people to sign up for courses, building up a client base, refining the marketing messaging strategy that you have, and doing strategic marketing and having a marketing activity plan for the best audience and matching that plan to your audience. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, not every marketing tactic and strategy works for every audience, and you do need to just trial and experiment and use your best guesses a lot of times, while also getting advice from people like me in terms of what might be the most profitable and successful way for you to market to a specific audience. Okay, so those are wonderful things that you all shared. So I really appreciate you doing that. And let's see, I'm just going back into the chat before I go into the first questions. Okay, Anastasia, I think we'll get to your question, a repurposing process. Okay, I love that. And then a good funnel that doesn't rely on social media. Okay, I think I'll come back to some of these questions in the chat because I think that I'll cover some of them as I get through into these questions here. And as we go, I will keep the chat open now. So if you have a question specific to what I'm talking about on the screen at any given time, feel free to come off mute, put it in the chat. Raising your hand, I'm not sure will work super well. Maybe it will notify me, but probably putting it in the chat is going to get my attention the fastest. So this is the first question that we had. And looking for easy ways to market with a full-time job, and looking for other sources of income that are not one-to-one. So I can understand if you're doing one-to-one work and you have this full-time job taking up your time, then how can you really be making money and building that business without having to necessarily do a lot of one-to-one work? So I'm going to start with the second part. And then this was from Patricia. I made notes sometimes of who these questions for, but not always. So if you recognize your question, just feel free to come off mute and ask and clarify things and all of that. So what I would say is that for income that is not one-to-one, there are other services that you could be offering. So you could be doing some B2B work. I'm not sure what niche you're in or what kind of services you are wanting to offer. And I see you. I think, Patricia, if you want to come off mute and explain a little bit more, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I work for a telehealth company full time. You get to talking to people all day and
Makes
you just
sense.
want to do things that are a little more creative and more things that you can put out there for the public. So I was just curious if there was anything unique either you've done or anybody on this call that's had success with.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so maybe you're looking for more of these like passive products where it's like either a digital product or a guide or a small course and all of that. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And especially since you have a full-time job, I know obviously the goal is always to have income and increase income, but I look at the way we can make money as either like the faster way to make money or the slower way to make money. And the faster way to make more money is the active kind of income, like selling a service, doing some work and getting paid for it immediately, because that is going to get money in your bank faster. And people are you don't need to be having a bigger audience necessarily for that. Whereas like passive things where it's getting revenue from a blog or affiliate income or all of that, that is a slower process. Your income is not going to just come in. Usually the income is a smaller portion of the total audience that you've built too. So you need to have a lot more volume. So therefore it takes longer to build up to that volume, if all of that makes sense. But if you have the job and you're not necessarily saying, I want to replace my full-time income in 6 months and leave it, then I would say, yeah, you have some flexibility and some time. And I think what is a critical thing for all of us to be thinking about, and this may be on your mind too, is that ChatGPT and AI and all of these things have made information for people a lot more readily available. And so people can ask AI for a meal plan. They can ask AI for, hey, how do I do X, Y, and Z? And information is much more readily available. And even personalized information is much more readily available than it used to be even a few years ago. We had the course explosion during the pandemic where a lot of people put out courses and a lot of people were just at home. They had time. And so getting into a course and learning that way was fine. These days, people are now looking for, and I just put out, I think the podcast on Monday was a bit more about this. So I think for you, Patricia, what I would say is, I think you could put together some resources, but I think the longer term play is to find a way where you can still have some involvement in some way. It doesn't mean that you have to be one-to-one, but one-to-many, or even if it's some kind of, hey, you get into the course, but you get some Voxer support, or so it's asynchronous support. It's not like you have to be on a call, and you don't have to be talking to people, but you can still be. And also there's platforms like Practice Better and all of that, where you can have messaging and have things that are not needing you to be on a call right away. So I would look at, depending on what kind of area you want to go into. Have you picked a niche yet for what you want to do?
Not yet. I'm the person who loves to do everything, so I'm having a hard time narrowing down at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would also help if you could pick, okay, what is one area that I might want to focus in on a little bit more? Maybe it's not that your business has to be all about that, but maybe the first product or thing that you put out is going to be more focused in on. And some of the things you can be doing is just thinking about, when you're doing your telehealth counseling, who are the clients and patients that you work with that you enjoy the most, that you feel like, okay, I could talk about this for hours. I don't really want to talk about this. And see how you can maybe have your own unique take on it and create something that, yeah, it can have some passive elements to it, but then some kind of support from you so that it is getting people further along, because an AI is just not going to ever replace a dietitian as much as consumers will think that. Same with therapy, like the therapy apps with the AI stuff. It's okay up to a point, but then you do want a real person helping you. And so I think when we can lead with that message that I'm a real person behind this product, I am helping you and helping you navigate things and giving examples even of the kinds of things that you would be helping someone with that an AI probably could not, I think will help make that message stronger. And other questions that came through also were about building funnels and all of that. So I think I'll move on from, I think I gave you a lot to think about anyway, but then in terms of, okay, who do you sell it to? What kind of audience do you need to have in order to sell all these products? I will kind of go a little bit further into questions on that. But in terms of like easy ways to market too, I think, I mean, social media can be okay if you're moving slowly and you like it and you want to put out content and all of that. But I would say once you have some idea of what it is you want to offer, I think going directly to where your ideal customers are hanging out. So online communities, giving talks, going to, like I was talking about, referral partners. Maybe there's doctors' offices that have patients that might be a good fit for it, or there's certain groups in your community where your clients might be hanging out. Go to where your people already are while you build your own audience at the same time. But that way you can get some traction going while you're building that bigger audience of people to sell to.
Thank you, Whitney.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Yes. So this was another question. I do not know who this came from, but if you feel like adding more, then please come off of mute and all of that. But this question is just, what is the most efficient way to get clients? And so I would go back to those marketing paths that I was talking about. I would first start with your referral network. I would network with as many people, whether even if you are not doing client patient like counseling right now, any kind of services that you offer, any kind of products that you offer, there are complementary people that are serving your audience as well that would be great partners to cross promote, send people your way, because yes, they're helping them with one facet of that condition or that area of their life, but maybe they're not solving this other thing that you're helping them with. So there's always some kind of referral network out there for you, no matter what business you're in, whether you are doing B2C, where you're serving other clients and customers, or B2B, where you are working with organizations, nonprofits, all of that, businesses, all of that. So referrals, that's going to be the most efficient because those are warm leads. That trust is already there. If that person is recommending you, those people are warmer to you. They're going to already have some trust built in. So they're going to be more likely to want to become clients and move forward with that. So like I was talking about, if you are building your own audience, those are going to be cooler. They are going to be cold people necessarily. You need to take time to warm them up and get them to know you and understand you and trust you and all of that. And that takes time and it takes money. It's still worth it. It is still absolutely something that you should be doing in your business, is growing your own audience on your email list. But just know that that takes time. And so we want to have the fast money coming in where we are going to people that are already going to trust us. And then we also want to have more of that slow burn of having people warming up in our own audience as well. But I would say max out referrals, collaborate in places where your customers are, get people on your email list, get people to sign up for calls from your email list, and have your website be very clear, very strong, so that when people do come there from those networking opportunities and those referrals, it's just so obvious about what you do and that they can connect with you right away. That's going to increase efficiency. If your website where you're sending even all these referrals to is not very clear, then a lot of those people are just going to be going by the wayside and filtering out. And when you can capture more of them because your website's speaking to them more and easy for them to book a call and connect with you, then that's going to increase the return on investment of your time and in some of these things. I would also say that ads can be very efficient once you do have a funnel set up. And this is a topic that I could talk about all day separately. I, for many years, was very hesitant to do ads. I felt that I really should max out organic and do everything myself and build my social media following and build my email list through hard work and putting content out there and all of that. And there's something to be said about people who organically join your list. But at the same time, that also takes a lot of time to be continually putting out content and all of that. So I think another thing to consider is to get started with ads earlier. I think I waited too long. Obviously, you want to start slow. You want to measure results. You want to have the good things in place, like an email sequences. You want to have your opt-in and have your website be doing a good job of showcasing your services and making it easy for people to book. If there's anything in that process that isn't dialed in and broken, then you could see that it's not really going to be as effective for you. But you can start small with ads. And so I would definitely say that you could be putting some money towards ads and not be spending so much time having to create all of this content on social media that is maybe just not showing up to your audience very much. So you could spend even $5 a day on ads and get people onto your email list every day, be building your email list, and then having emails that you're sending once a week to your subscribers, giving them information and all of that, and then having those people become customers. So I would suggest that. And I'm seeing in the chat. So Tony, you post on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you have a website, and considering core realities such as you, Grace, someone in my community. Yeah. In terms of MLMs, I'm not really sure. I know there's so much. I think there's people that feel good or bad. I don't really focus a whole lot on those kinds of product-based businesses or any of that. So I really can't say for sure. But one thing I would say is to not spread yourself too thin either. You said you work full time, and I would look at, oh, is that you, Tony? Hi. Okay, I see you now in the video. Yeah. So I would say maybe not add that on if the other things, if you're not sure that they're working as well, or figure out what could be working better, or some of the things that I talked about. If you're spending 1 to 2 hours a day posting to these social platforms, but you're not getting email list subscribers, or you're not networking and doing some talks and getting yourself out there in front of audiences that already exist, then I would say maybe pull back. You don't have to be on all of the platforms all at once. It's just, content creation is just it's a beast. And it really, I think, takes our focus as business owners away from other activities too that we can be doing that do, it's funny because I hear a lot of people say that they hate social media, but they say that they still do it. And I think that some of it can come from, there's a little less like risk and judgment of putting together some Canva posts and writing captions and all of that, versus going and sending a cold email to a doctor or to a podcast and pitching yourself to a podcast, or going and giving a talk in your community. All of those things, it's definitely more interpersonal. You hear that direct no or yes right away. And so it can be, I think, a little bit scarier to do some of those things that are a little bit more direct with people, but you're going to hear no matter what. And really, you're also hearing no just very quietly on social media when no one's engaging with your content and no one's taking action. It just is, maybe it just doesn't sting as much. So I think getting comfortable with those partnership interactions, I think this is another thing that I personally, if I could go back and do things differently, and I'm even trying to change right now, I think it's never too late to learn something and then apply it in our business. I wish I was working on building my network more and networking and collaborating with people, because there are so many people who are just wonderful to work with, that are happy to have you come and speak in front of their audiences. And I think there's just a lot of value in that. And the more you flex that muscle, I think the more you can see success happening more quickly, and maybe then take a little less time focused on the constant content creation and pushing that out. Those are my thoughts on that. You're welcome. Okay, great question, Raksha. When should we consider hiring? Recommendation for a good VA company. So I think that hiring comes when you know what you need to outsource, and you are going to be the strategic visionary for whatever it is you're outsourcing. And I'm making that sound a lot harder than it is. But I have seen people, I've even done this myself, where I, early on in my business, hired a VA to do my social media posting and was giving her the strategist hat as well. And she was putting out content and it looked good, and we had trending sounds and all of that. But it really wasn't changing anything and doing anything in my business. And then when I started looking a little bit more strategically at what other activities in my marketing could I be doing that would be great to have someone help me with podcast pitching. So Priscilla on here actually came into my business first as helping me with podcast pitching. And now she is doing so much more for me as my OBM. And I think what I did is she came in with a process. So I think that can be helpful when you have someone who already has done the thing that you want them to do, and you're very clear on the scope. This is what I want, and this is how I believe it's going to help my business and move things forward. But if you are not yet clear on the direction that you want to take and the goals you want to achieve and how you're going to measure success, and having some kind of process that you want someone to come into, then I think what will happen is that person will do things. They'll achieve the goal of doing the things you want them to do, but it's possible that it will then distract from, is this the right work to be doing? Is this the most valuable work to be doing? So I think once you are clear on, okay, these are the things that I want to be doing, this is what I want to execute, this is how I'm going to measure if this was a good investment or not, hiring this person, then I think it's a good thing to do. In terms of recommendations, I know there are some VAs out there, specifically for the dietitian crowd. There's a Facebook group, I think it's Virtual Assistants for Dietitians. You might want to check in there. There are definitely people talking about VAs in there. And honestly, I have found a lot of success hiring out of Facebook groups. I think a lot of your success of hiring someone comes with the process that you have for hiring. And it's very similar to so many things in life. You have to go through a lot of applications, a lot of people applying to find that one that's really great. So I would say, and I do have a podcast episode, one of the earlier episodes about my hiring process that we've generally followed and continue to follow. We haven't done a lot of hiring recently, but I think making sure that you really are having that person answer some questions, following a process so that you're testing their abilities. I like doing a paid test project with a few final candidates, doing an interview, having a standard metric, a rubric for measuring those interviews so you can be really objective, and then having a good onboarding process and training process and actually evaluating them and giving them feedback early on so that you can course correct, or you can decide to part ways and not feeling like you've done a lot of sunk cost kind of things. This person's been working with me for 6 months and all of that. Like, hiring's it's not super easy, but when you put the effort in, I think you get the great results out of it. And it takes time to get better at it. You definitely don't hit it out of the park the first time or even the first 3 times. But that's some advice I have there for that. I do think that it is great to get help with your marketing once you have some systems in place and you know what you want to be doing. Absolutely support 100% getting support in your business. And actually, next week, not getting support for marketing, but one of our clients, Julia, has grown her practice. She has 4 practitioners working for her now. And so I think that's another thing to be considering too, is where are you offloading some of your efforts and time? It could also be that you're bringing in someone to actually do some of the work and the client work as well. So if you're interested in that, make sure you tune into is it next week's episode? I think it is. I don't know. Again, my date's wrong, but it might be next week's. Yeah, it is. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, it was very helpful. I've been through this VA rut for a year. I've hired a few people, but it takes a lot of my time because they may be good at technology executing, like you just had mentioned very earlier on. You're absolutely right. But then they don't even understand strategy. They're just good at executing. You tell them to draw a circle and put some information there. They're able to do that. No problem.
Yep.
But when it actually comes to aligning with your marketing goal or your strategies or your message platform, they're clueless. Yeah. But somebody told me I should look into Flourish VA, and yeah,
I've
they
heard of
are
them.
dietitians, so who knows?
Yeah.
Again, I appreciate it because you're absolutely right. It takes time, right, before you really get that perfect fit into that puzzle. Yeah.
Yep.
But thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great question. Okay, I'll go back to some of these questions here and then I'll come back into the chat. And I'm happy to go a little bit longer today. I want to respect, I'm always like such a taskmaster and time freak, but also I want to get everyone's questions answered. We'll get everyone's questions answered, even if it takes a little bit longer. And then we have the replay. So if you have to hop and your question didn't get answered yet, you can always listen to the replay. But I'll try and be a little bit faster too. Okay, so what's the number one thing that we should be doing if we're starting our funnel from scratch? So I'm assuming that you have your funnel in place, you have your opt-in, the opt-in page, your welcome email sequence in place. I think one thing is to make sure that you're measuring right away so that you just have a baseline and know how your various efforts are working. So what's the opt-in rate on the page? Are people opening your emails? Are they clicking on the links? What's your unsubscribe rate? Everything is going to be different. We have our own numbers in our business and we just compare them to other things that we're doing. So it's not like there's any right or wrong. Granted, if your open rate is only 10% and you have a 90% unsubscribe rate, then probably that is when you should start looking at, okay, what are some of the things that could be helping me here? And that is where you could be going into ChatGPT and you could be saying, hey, I'm having an issue with my open rates. They're steadily at 10%, and share a little bit more about what you're doing and what your opt-in is and who your clients are and your audience. And it could be that your subject lines, the subject line is what gets the email opened. So you have to do not neglect your subject lines, but it could be that the opt-in was actually very different than maybe what you offer and what you do and what those emails are about. So we want to have a good match and a good fit throughout the process, that people are coming through and feeling, okay, yes, this is what I'm opting into. This is what I'm getting on the back end and all of that. So assuming you have your funnel up, then I would just be figuring out how to get it in front of your customers as much as possible. So getting yourself doing talks in your community, having it on your website in a little headline at the top, the banner at the top of the page, in the footer, on your blog sidebar, any other page where it makes sense, even in blogs where it makes sense, having it there. So just promote the heck out of it. Post it in communities, either when the communities allow you to do promotional posts or when you're looking in online communities and people are asking questions and your lead magnet makes sense there, then you can be sharing it there. You can be running ads to your funnel. Again, $5 a day to get that out in front of people and getting people coming into it. And we need data in order to know what's working and what's not. And so if you're doing ads, that can be a really quick way to quickly assess, okay, I've had 20 people come in and my open rates are doing really well and people are actually clicking. I even had someone book a call with me already. So if all of that stuff is going well, then I would up that ad spend and I would just continue pushing that resource out in all of the places. I would put it in your email signature. So when you're sending emails both to your marketing list, have it linked easily, always in the signature, even though your email list, those people are already on your email list, not all those people might have gotten that resource. And so we want to be giving as much information to people as we can. So have it linked there, but then also just your regular email that you use to conduct business, have it linked there. Definitely have it in your social media posts, put it in your bio. Talk about the thing like it's the best thing you've ever made, because you probably actually do feel it's the best thing you ever made. I know how much time we spend on our lead magnets, and everyone that I create, I'm like, this is really good. And so use that energy and go and promote the heck out of it. When you're on a podcast, that is the thing that you should be calling people to, sharing that resource, getting those people to want to do that. If you're doing a talk in your community, you can certainly invite people to book a call with you, but probably a first step that's going to be more useful for most people is to get that resource. And whether you just want to say, hey, everyone who signs in on the sign up sheet is also going to get on my email list and get this resource. If you want to unsubscribe, that's fine. We do want to protect privacy and respect people's rights and all of that. But there's definitely lots of ways that we can be getting that resource out there. So I would just make sure everyone knows about that resource. I would also reach out to colleagues or partners, referral partners, see if you can do an email swap where you give them 1 or 2 emails that kind of tee up this new resource, and then they can send those to their email list and you can do the same. Or if they're just wanting to help you, you don't have a large email list right now, there's still plenty of people who are just willing to help people that are people that you're either friends with, or you can offer something else to them that's useful to them, or they just want to do it out of the goodness of their heart. That also can happen too. So don't be afraid to just ask for other people to share your resource and your funnel wherever it makes sense, where your customers are hanging out. Ask local gyms if you can put a blurb in an upcoming newsletter, like whatever. Media contribution. Can you explain more what you mean about that, Raksha?
Yeah, it's your media presence, right? So for example, I do a lot of quotes for different media, like Eating Well, and it's been published.
Yeah.
But then I also do a lot of work with the US News World Report, right? So once a year, I'm on their expert panel. So
Great.
how do you leverage that? Because I know you have to put it on your website, but how do you leverage that? I do an email, so I can put it on there, but what about
Are they linking to your
that?
website when you're quoted? Do you have a byline and link to your website?
Yes, yeah. So I get
Okay.
a lot of people
Wonderful.
my website. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I would make sure that your website has that lead magnet in a few different places with slightly different headlines, have a nice
Oh,
mock-up of it, and just give people a lot of opportunities. Pop-ups, I think, are okay when used thoughtfully too.
yeah.
And just remember, people may close that pop-up, and then I think some of us think, okay, I shouldn't mention it again. But someone went to a different page of your site. Maybe after they've read a little bit more, now that lead magnet, that resource actually makes a lot of sense. So especially if you're getting traffic from media, then absolutely have that on your website so that you can be capturing those people
Yeah,
into
because they
the
do
list.
allow us, you have to give your byline.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah, and I
opportunity.
don't use anything, any customers so that I see when you get Google Analytics, how many people have visited your website, but not anybody taking the bite.
Okay. So yeah, and that's good that you're looking at it and then starting to think, okay, well, what could I be doing better? What pages are they visiting and then dropping off on to? If it's the homepage, then obviously that's the first page to look at. But if anyone makes it past the homepage, where are they going next? How can I be? Something that was interesting to me when I looked at my analytics a while ago is how many people visited my about page. And our about pages are really just this sleeper spot to be putting information. And I think a lot of us think that it's just our educational bio or credentials and all of that, but it's people want to really get to know you. They want to know who you are and connect with you. And in our program, like we make sure that there's CTAs, like to book a call, go to the blog, look at my services. So have all of those things there and really optimize those pages where you're seeing a lot of people come to that are maybe not engaging.
I think the about should change into my story.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Great questions. Yeah. I think when you have media coverage, that's just such an opportunity. And if you're not seeing much conversion from all of that traffic, then it's looking at your website to see what can be changing. Okay. So now that Anastasia, this was your question. So now that I have an email list, how can I use it to drive customers to sign up for my online course? So one thing I would be looking at now is what is the health of your email list? So how engaged are those people on it? Are you emailing them regularly? Are they interacting with those emails? Because we want to be getting a feel for, okay, we got these people on our list. Are they liking what I'm doing? And if they're not yet, or maybe you're not giving them a lot of content, I think the first step before we start selling too much is to really develop that relationship more. So are you sending regular emails to your list?
No, not regular.
Okay. So that's the first thing I would do. I would say once a week, if you can come up with something, little tips, maybe there's an article out there that you want to give your opinion on. I think another thing for all of us is to be bold. And that's what gets people's attention. That's what shows your true personality and your true kind of platform and approach. So there's an article that came out where there was some recommendation about nutrition for pregnancy and you don't agree with it, then I think you should say, I think this advice is wrong, and put that in the subject line and then give your opinion on that. But then you can also do some more just kind of tips and advice and all that. And then we always want to have some kind of call to action in that email, whether it's to learn about the course, or if they don't have one of your resources, or you have a blog, or even just asking them, hit reply. Like, do you agree? Do you have more questions about this or whatever it is? So that people are also being encouraged to interact and getting used to taking some action from your emails. And let's see. Yeah, I saw your comment too. You're not looking to book calls, sign up for the course from your website. So yeah, I think the first thing is nurturing your email list and getting those people to be really starting to form a relationship with you and trusting you, and making sure that they're opening your emails on a regular basis and all of that. Another thing that I would think about if you want to just get some people into your course is to also just think, do you have some people who would be really great fit for beta enrollment into the program? When I launched my website program, it's 4 years ago now, it's been around for a long time. I had people who I'd previously talked to about websites where it just either wasn't the right time, or the price for a custom site was too high. And so I had a short list of people that I already knew could be a really good fit for what I was offering. And so I sent personal emails to those people. And so I think, and this goes for any kind of launch that anyone's doing. So if you're doing one-to-one services, there's a certain way where you're just constantly marketing and trying to get people to book calls. If you're doing more of a group program, or even a package that you're wanting to enroll all at one time and do like a launch event, then you are probably going to be relying more on emails and some systems, because you're doing a much larger audience and you need more automation. However, there is still a place for individual outreach and follow-up, no matter how big you are, no matter what kind of business you're in, how big your email list is. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. And I think sometimes that was something that I neglected. I wanted all of my systems to do all of the work. I wanted all my emails to do all the work. But the whole point of getting those emails set up and that system going was that then it freed me up to be able to have personal connections and personal conversations with people. So it saved my energy to do the meaningful, deeper work with people who I knew were nearly ready to come into my program and join me. So it's not a replacement. These systems are not a replacement for these deeper sales activities and conversations. They're more just allowing you to do multiple things. They're like growing arms for you versus being like, okay, that's now done and over with. So I would think about some of that, like more direct outreach to people as well.
So I have a list of about maybe 8 names. When I did a live event late last year, I did a little survey card and I asked these women, if you fill out the survey, I'll let you know when my course goes live and you'll get a free coupon or something.
Right.
It'll be no charge. I
Right.
have about 8 of those names from my list. So you're saying I should email them individually, personally?
I think at this point, since it's 8 people, you can write the email and copy and paste it, maybe customize a little bit. If you can remember your conversation with them or anything that you have to make it personal, you can do that. But yeah, since it's 8 people, I would start with that so that you can just see if they're interested, because it was a very direct, like, you told them about the course, you were going to give them a coupon. So I don't think you need to spend like weeks nurturing them. But I know
Right.
you also had done some other events. So I don't know if this is the same email list, but I think as you have people coming in, maybe from a lead magnet or from other things that you're doing, you want to have some regular emails as well. But I think when you're just starting out, I think it is a better use of your time, quite frankly, to just be doing that direct conversation with leads that you know are probably likely to move forward.
To start with them personally, but they are part of the larger group of emails that I have that I could continue to do weekly tips and things.
Yep, you can do both. They can
Okay.
get both the personal emails from you and then also that larger group of just
Yeah.
nurturing, warming up
I need to
emails.
learn how to use MailerLite. I got to get comfortable with that.
It's a learning curve on all of these
Yeah.
softwares.
But
Yeah.
thanks for that guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more you use any software, the more comfortable and easier it is. So I think it's another vote too for if you're sending regular emails, you're not going to forget how to
How to
do this,
use it.
that, and the
Yeah,
other thing.
exactly.
So that's good too.
Okay, thanks. I need to jump off for something else,
Okay.
but thank you.
Thanks for being here, Anastasia.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Okay. So I have one other question that was here that I wanted to go through. It was more of something else that came in, but I want to see, this was from Ryan, and I just want to see if Ryan is on here. Okay. I don't see Ryan. So I am going to go into the chat real quick and look at, let's see. Okay. And I know Anastasia had to jump, but she launched her website in 2024. Do I need an upgrade? I would say not, because I know Anastasia personally was working on her course behind the scenes and all of that. So more, I would say if you've been in business and you put your website together, but it was maybe DIY, or maybe you didn't have as much clarity on your customers, or maybe your services have changed. The episode that I released on Monday on the podcast was really talking about how consumers have changed and how websites from a couple of years ago, if they were built just to get something up, that really we need to push ourselves further at this point to really appeal to people. So re-listen to that episode if you haven't checked it out yet. But I would say that it's not necessarily always like the amount of time that has gone by, but if you haven't updated your website, you haven't been regularly updating the copy, swapping out new content, adding blogs to it, kind of keeping it current, then I think it's definitely time to do that. Okay, so a question that came in that was really great into the chat, and I don't see Ziba in here anymore, but I think it's a good one, is what does a good repurposing process look like, and what tools come into the process, especially if someone wants to focus on low lift, high impact marketing without feeling stressed out rather than enjoyable. I am pulled in different directions as I'm interested in a handful of ideas and workflows. What should someone do when there are more than one or two business ideas or niches? I feel you so much. So let me first talk about the repurposing process. And okay, so yeah, just want to make sure, Tony, I'm glad you've updated your site today. It's good, always updating. It's a work in progress. Our website is always, it's a living, breathing thing as we learn and evolve in our knowledge of our customers and our knowledge of our expertise and our confidence. Our website should be right there by our side, reflecting it as well. Okay, so repurposing, I actually spoke about this on the pod. I had a little video to our email list about repurposing events that you've been a part of. So if you have been a guest speaker on a podcast, then you should definitely repurpose that into content that you house on your website. Even if you were on someone else's podcast or you gave an event, webinar in another place, but you have the ability to share that recording, then that should live on your website because it allows people to see you or hear you talk. It just does so much more to build that connection and that know and trust factor. So we definitely want to do that. And then what you can do is take the transcript of that. So if you're on someone else's podcast, you might not get the transcript, but you have your notes and you can write something out. But if you are, say, doing your own podcast, or maybe you did a webinar. So one of our clients got the email I sent out about repurposing, and she shared with me that she took an event that she had presented at. She took the transcript from YouTube, she put it into AI, had it help her write a blog post that was SEO optimized with good headings, organization, bulleted lists, internal links. She did some of the internal linking and all of that, but she had it draft that blog post for her, and then she put it on her website. And then there were so many great nuggets in that blog. She shared it with me. She did an amazing job. You still want to edit whatever comes out of AI so that you're making sure that it's factual, that it's in your voice, because AI is just a tool. It's not it shouldn't be like the end all be all thing that you then just take it and post it. But especially if you're feeding it something that you already said or wrote, then that can be a great thing. It's already going to sound like you. And then you're going to put that on your site. And then you can also then ask AI, okay, this blog post, you give it, okay, this is the final blog post that I wrote. Now I'd like you to come up with 3 different emails that I can send to my list, taking one idea from this blog post and making an email about it. And you can say things like, I want it to be engaging. I want it to give people an aha. I want it doesn't have to be all in the same email. You can say, I want one email that is maybe about like a hot take or an opinion that I have. One is about maybe myth busting, still being inspired by that one long form piece of content, but then asking it to churn out some ideas with different hooks, different positions. And so you can have it draft some emails. Not every email that you send out has to be super long. And then it can have a CTA for people to learn more, go to that blog post. You could also have it do social media posts and captions and give you things for that. I personally, I would use AI to take one long form piece of content, whether it is, even if you're emailing your list, maybe you're not committing to a blog right now, but you're sending emails to your list. I would then take that email that you wrote, wherever that original first piece of content was put together. It should be longer form. It shouldn't be just like an Instagram caption, but like something that you wrote that has some thought to it. And then you can have AI repurpose it in that way into those sections. And then you can start using tools to schedule that content, put the blog on your website, have like on WordPress, you can schedule a blog to go live at a certain time, a podcast to go live, social media posts to go live. And that's what I would recommend for a repurposing process. You can certainly have people on your team do it as well. You could have a VA come in and say, hey, can you repurpose my content? And they're probably going to be using AI to help do that, but then they can actually put it on your blog. They can create the graphics, they can make the social captions with emojis and all of that. So they can execute and implement, but you're still the thought leader. You're still deciding what is the content, what are the key points that I want focused on, and then you can have someone helping you execute. So either you use AI to help, or you also have someone helping you implement and execute. So that is what I would recommend. I wouldn't get caught up in saying, let me repurpose for TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn and all of these different places. I would maybe pick 1 or 2 platforms, probably 1. And then I would also make sure that email is one of those things that you're repurposing that content into. So maybe it's email and then 1 other social platform. Just because you can have it repurposed into all these different places doesn't mean that you should, especially if you don't have help right now helping you actually then post that content. I know there are those tools where you can put one piece of content in and it can shoot it out to all the different places, but you also still want the thing optimized for the platform that it's on. So it still does take some time, and 15 minutes, 20 minutes for every platform, every post adds up over time, as you all know. Even if it feels like it's not going to take too long, just keep that in mind. Okay. And then, 1 or 2, what should someone do when there are more than 1 or 2 business ideas or niches? I would say pick one to start probably, or if you want to be testing which one maybe gets more traction, you could do that. But I wouldn't try to be going in too many directions too quickly. I've had another business idea for another niche for 4 years now, and I still haven't acted on it because I'm like, I'm still working on the one niche. If you have that itch that needs to be scratched to like also pursue another niche, I would just say, what's the lowest lift thing that you can do for that's going to still make you feel fulfilled on it? Maybe it is you're just posting TikToks just casually, or maybe you're going to have a separate email list just for that, or you're going to start a Substack or whatever it is, but don't let that just distract from the core focus first, because it can be overwhelming and start splitting your energy. Yes. And then another question that was in here from Ziba as well was understanding a good funnel that doesn't rely on social media and the social media race. yeah, there are many other ways to be building your email list that don't rely on social media. I do think ads, which is like ads on social media, but I treat it differently than having to post and come up with organic content for social media. Like you can have ads running and not have to be stressed out about social media at all because they're just ads. So I think there's a place for social media ads, but then otherwise, all of those things that I talked about in terms of where to share a new funnel, where to share a lead magnet, those are all ways that you can be building your email list, because ultimately a funnel is just building your audience and building your email list. And it doesn't always have to be a lead magnet. There could be a free event or a webinar or a guide or a private podcast, all these different things. And they can be shared in so many different places. You can be blogging and working on optimizing for SEO and having those posts optimized to then be building your list by having, hey, private podcast related to this topic, opt in here. So there's definitely other ways to do it as well. Okay. Well, I think that's it. I think we've gone over. I want to be respectful of people's time. I'm so appreciative of everyone who's hung out with me today. Are there any other questions that anyone has before we wrap it up? I'm putting this back on the screen in the meantime. Any other questions I can help answer for anyone? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what's this you're invited to? Can you provide a little bit more on, is it a webinar you're doing on the three?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you just add a little bit more detail? Maybe
Yeah.
short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is a webinar intended for people who have websites, but if you don't have a website, obviously always anything you can learn about websites is good. But this is mainly for folks and practitioners who have a website and it's either not working as well as it used to, or it really is not giving you the traction that you want. And so I'm really talking about going deeper. How can we be honing in on specific things that are really going to be the things that make a difference? So I'm going to cover these 3 upgrades. They are not tech upgrades. They are content upgrades, things that you can implement. Some things take longer than others and all of that. But really, what are those key things that any practitioner should be focusing on that is going to, just back when I was talking about the marketing areas and how that website is really that foundation. So that's why I'm saying without more marketing, because whatever marketing you're doing now, we want to make it work better. So I think, Raksha, for you, this could be really helpful because you mentioned you're getting traffic, but it's not necessarily converting. So yeah, how can we make your website convert? How can we be building in more things that are going to help you actually get more clients on your calendar, calls getting booked, or selling a product, selling a service? And a question was asked for Tony, will it be recorded? Yes, there will be a recording as well. Obviously, it's great when you come live. I know I have like recordings in my inbox that I never watched. The recording won't be up forever. Also, we will be giving away a free sales page template if you attend live. So it's a little incentive to come live. But yeah, Priscilla dropped the link in the chat. So whitneybateson.com/upgrade to get that on your calendar right now so that you can make the time for it. And then one thing that I'll also be talking about in the webinar, full disclosure, I will also be sharing how you can work with me inside my website program, the Wellness Pro website system. Many of you, if you've been on my list for a while, or some of you are existing clients right now that have gone through the program. I'm looking at Sandy. You can't see me looking at you, but so this is a program where it's a done with you website program, and it works for both people who have a website that you want to redo. We have an option to give you that, or it's a brand new website. And what we do is we have website templates that you can use and then customize for your business. We install it for you, and then you just add your content. We put in your branding, you add your photos, and then you can launch it to the world. And it's done with you in terms of we're installing the site for you and doing that tech work. And then you're just customizing the content itself. And in the process too, we have a platform where you're learning about email marketing, about good copywriting, about the sales process, about SEO. So it's both both doing the work on the website and then also guided lessons. And then we have a forum to give hands-on support if you need it. And we have live weekly calls as well to support you so that by the end, you have a beautiful website launched to the world, optimized for SEO, connecting to talking to your customer, has all of those pieces in place that you need to have. So we will be opening enrollment for that very soon as well. So if anyone's interested in that, just keep an eye on your inbox. But otherwise, yeah, we'll be getting out this recording, probably not right away, but soon. And we will be putting it on the podcast as well. If you have a question after the fact that didn't get answered and you want to shoot me a note, feel free to send me an email or inside the Facebook group. We're really trying to get activity in there. So if any of you are in there, put your question in there, post something, respond to some of the posts that I'm putting in there. Would love to see you in there. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for all of your questions. All right. Have a great rest of your week.